everyone, it's Allison here, also known as Lasan Faye, and today I'm here with a brand new Zen Doodle with me video. This time for the week of August 13th through the 19th. As always, I do these Zen Doodle videos based upon the Zen Art Challenge, and I will include a link to the Facebook group down in the description below. So that being said, I also include links to as many sources as I have down in the description. But let's go ahead and dive on into the tangles for this week's episode. The first tangle I have for you all today is called Ing by Molly Hollabow. And the way you get started with Ing is you start by drawing a zigzag line, starting at the top. And you can go as far down as you wish, or as much as your space will allow. And then what you want to do next is from any endpoint, you want to draw a line that goes straight down to the zigzag line that's beneath it. And you can continue to do that. Also going up, maximize the number of triangles that you have. Then inside of each triangle that we've now formed, we're going to make a second triangle that sits slightly inside. Then we're going to connect the endpoints of each of the inside triangles outward. Then inside of each of the inner triangles, we're going to draw a circle in the main space. And then outside of that circle, we're just going to fill that in however you like. And that is Ing. Again, you can do multiple of these besides each other and make them as big or as small as you like. So if you just want it to be a border piece, you could just do your zigzag all the way along the border. Or if you're trying to fill a space in, start with a zigzag and or multiple zigzags and build triangles off of it. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this one here and move on to the next tangle. The second tangle I have for you all today is called A Rop, and it is by Judy Murphy and Joglo Adyet. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The way that you want to get started with A Rop is you want to start by making a zigzag, and you want your zigs and zags to be a little on the thin side. Then on the end of each zig and zag, you want to do a little parenthesis piece that just comes off and curves in whichever direction you want, so long as everything is curving towards the same direction. Then off of our little parenthesis pieces, the next thing that we're going to do is to draw a curve that comes back in and touches down on the piece of the zigzag that occurs right before it. And we're also going to have it extend up and connect to the pieces that we've just added on. Then in the small spaces that we just created, we're going to go ahead and fill those in. So now that that shading is in place, the remainder of filling this in can be done however you wish. So I am going to follow one of the examples off in the image on the right hand side and do little dots that go up to the edge. And that is all it takes in order to do our wrap. Again, you can choose to fill this in however you like. There's several examples off in the image on the side there. But I'm going to go ahead, leave this one here, and move on to the next tangle. The next tangle I have for you all today does not have a name, but it's from Graphistica. And the way that you're going to get started with this one is you're going to start at a base point, and you're going to make a small teardrop shape. And then you're going to double it up. And then triple it up. Then off of this teardrop shape, you're going to start by going off to the side and doing an elongated teardrop shape. And then off of that, have petals that come up and hook around, going back towards your original tripled up teardrop. And you want to stop once you hit the midpoint coming up. And you similarly want to echo this going up, or actually, you want to continue this all the way around. That's what it looks like. Then on the inside of each shape, you just want to create a little curly Q at the end. Where it connects with the original teardrop shapes, what you want to do is you just want to make a bunch of U's that are going to come out and around, and then fill in between. And as a bit of detail, we're also going to add a very small teardrop that's filled in inside of our original teardrop shape. Then outside of the shapes that we've drawn, we can do a little scallop that connects them. And we can repeat this scallop. And so then inside of these little scalloped edges, we can just do a little piece that is towards the middle on the bottom, and just make a little semicircle and fill it in. And so that is it for this tangle. I think it's really pretty. The original description I was given said, oh, this looks like a flower. And I do agree with that sentiment. I also think it kind of looks like a peacock. But that may just be me. I don't know. But go ahead, have fun, experiment with this one. Add more layers, add fewer layers. Just play around and enjoy it. But I'm going to leave this one here and move on to the next tangle. The fourth tangle I have for you all today is called Phycops, and it is by Helen Williams. And the way that you're going to get started with this one is you're going to start by making a series of diagonal lines, and you can space them however you want. In fact, you can even have some of these lines going back the other way. They don't have to be all in a line. They could be off of a cone shape, as demonstrated off in the image on the right. But once you have those in place, you're going to connect them up. And once they're all connected up, whatever part is left over here on the end, you can connect that in as well. And those little pieces that we've formed by connecting it in, you can go ahead and fill in. And this one creates a nice little 3D effect because it looks like you have like a roll of paper, say, that's like you've rolled up and like started pulling out a bit, or like a flower bloom that's sprouting out of itself multiple times. And I think that's really cool. I have done this one before, one of the few that I have, and I actually really like this one. And I mean, I said straight lines earlier when giving the directions. They can be curved lines. These shadow ends here, those can curve back in. And then the base shape that you're using, that can change depending upon what you're doing. It's actually really fun to take a bunch of cones and then alternate which way the cone is going and do a bunch of them side by side. I think that looks really cool when that's done. Just to give you all a few ideas, and you can do shadowing however you want with this one. But I'm going to go ahead and leave this tangle here and move on to my next one. The next tangle I have for you all today is called Hoot, and it's by Erica Bonham Kelly. And the way that you want to get started with this one is you want to start by drawing a grid. This is a tiled pattern, and I'm only going to do one iteration of the tile. So I am making a 2x2 grid. And then I'm going to do a diagonal line that the top of the diagonal line will be on the right and the bottom will be on the left. Then from this line where it meets, I'm just going to do a parenthesis towards that line that connects the original grid line endpoints that I put together. And with those in place, then in the blank quadrants that I have, I am going to do two parenthesis shapes that are close by to each other. And with the inner parenthesis shape, I am going to do some lines that go radially outward from the center. And you can choose to have them meet up however you wish, or if you don't want them to meet up, that's also okay. Then off of the original parentheses that I did, I'm just going to echo those curves a little higher up. On each of the other quadrants, you're just going to do little U shapes that go out and around until you fill the space that you're in. And that is Hoot. Which, yeah, it kind of does look like Owl's face. If you look at it on the diagonal, which, since that's how I draw, like, that's what I immediately see. So I think that's really cool. But I'm going to leave this one here. There are a ton of ways I could color and fill this in, but I like it as is. So I'm going to leave it and move on to the next tangle. The sixth tangle I have for you all today is called Heartstrings, and it's by Helen Williams. And with this one, what you want to do is you want to create a bit of a curved cone shape that the ends don't quite meet up. Depending upon the space you're working in. And then within that cone shape, what you're going to do is you're going to make hearts that go all the way down. And I am using a thicker nib here because I'm going to want the original heart shape to stand out once I fill it in, and I don't want it to get lost. Alright, so that's in place. Then inside of each heart, you're just going to come in and kind of do a little parenthesis curve to fill it in. Outside of each heart, you're pretty much just going to echo the outline that you have. This is why I used that broader nib, was to emphasize the original heart a bit more, because I felt like that line would get lost with all of the other little lines that occur in here. But this is heartstrings, and as demonstrated in the image on the right, you can stack multiple of them side by side and reverse the direction of the hearts. You can make your hearts like shorter, taller, wider, skinnier, depending upon where you're at. So I highly encourage playing around with it. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave this one here and move on to the next tangle. The final tangle I have for you all today is called Onomato, and it's by Maria Thomas. And the way you're going to get started with this one is you're going to start by drawing some ribbons that go whichever way you want them to. So once you have your ribbons in place and all layered appropriately, the first thing you want to do is you want to make a echoing line on the inside border of each of your ribbons, or whichever ribbon you want to start with. And then between that little inside border line, you're just going to draw circles that fill up that large space. And also a bunch of little circles that are going to fill up the little border piece. And the tangle example has a little bit more space in this area here between the circles that I just do not possess because mine's a little bit smaller. And in those spaces they were adding dark circles rather than leaving them open. And so I am going to leave that ribbon alone and go ahead and fill in the remaining ribbons. That is it for Onomato. Again, this is one that I might end up trying again on a slightly larger scale, so that way I can include all the little details. Another thing that I would probably experiment with is using different nib sizes. For most of my work, I'm using a 0.2 millimeter nib. I also have a 0.1 and a 0.05 millimeter nib, and I think using some of those to do some of the detail work might make for more space. So I'll have to experiment with that on my own time, and you can check out my Instagram at LaSanFay for any pictures that I upload of that. But otherwise, that is it for this tangle, and I'm going to leave it here. Alright, so that is it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in and watching. I'm really excited about these tangles this week, and I had a lot of fun doing them. I hope you do as well, but I'm going to go ahead and leave these here and wish you all a wonderful week. Take care. Bye.